When Puss in Boots: The Last Wish first came out, I actually did want to go out of my way and see it. I did remember watching the first Puss in Boots and liking it alright, but I was actually kind of curious to see what this sequel would deliver. At the same time, I wasn't entirely or 100% compelled to see it. And it didn't help the fact that this movie came out around the same time that Avatar 2 came out, and I actually wanted to see that first, mostly due to the fact that I never actually got to see the first Avatar in theaters, and I just wanted to get to have an experience that most people did when they saw the first Avatar movie. And after seeing Avatar 2, I got to the point where I decided to let it slide and just wait till it hit streaming. But with the constant praise that the film has received over time, I decided to just give in and watch the movie for myself. And I'm pretty glad that I did, because I'm just gonna say right now, I think this is a beautiful movie. I just think this movie is a lot better than it probably has any right to be. I absolutely loved it. I know many people say this already, but I can't help it. I'm just gonna say it too. This is easily the best movie to have come out on 2022. Yeah, there is no competition. It's also rather shocking considering that this is DreamWorks we're talking about, and considering that Disney has pretty much made two flops along the way. Well, then that's just saying a hell of a lot. I love Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. It's definitely a good time. It has a meaningful told story, almost in the level of Pixar. The characters, a lot of the characters are really good. The villain, like, my God, talk about deep. I'll try not to go too much in detail of the movie because I am still kind of fresh off from seeing it, but there isn't really. But because of this, it's gonna be hard for me to express what feelings that I have. I mean, I already told you how much I deeply adored what this movie had to offer, but I'm still fresh out of seeing it, so yeah, I'm not gonna go too much into detail, even though this movie came out 2 months ago, but I just seen it a couple days ago. The story in this is very moving in ways that we probably have not seen, and I'm talking about this based off the Shrek franchise, not in terms of what DreamWorks has done. But in terms of the Shrek franchise, this movie goes deeper in a way that not even any of the other Shrek movies have gone. I think it was quite ingenious to have a movie where we see Puss in Boots showing off fear for the first time, and I do mean fear in terms of how he combats, how he always encounters whenever he's in combat. Usually he is, well, as he applies throughout the beginning, he is a fearless hero. But then when he meets his match with the wolf, who is actually known as Death, he is very traumatized. And what's great about this is that you actually feel it alongside him. Because whenever he's on his quest and sees the wolf, his panic attack would emerge and we would feel it alongside him. And yeah, the wolf is easily the darkest of DreamWorks villains I have ever seen. I know this sounds crazy when I'm saying this, but it's almost like someone took some sort of slasher movie villain of such and they just put it on this kids movie. Sounds crazy, I know. The supporting cast are also really good. Kitty Softpaws, who was in the first movie, she came back. She's great. I do like the way they explained that there was sort of an estranged relationship between her and Puss, as it reveals that they were to be married, but he walks out because he was afraid of commitment. And I even like the new side character, Perito, who the Chihuahua who Puss named, and he's very good. He's kind of like the cutesy sidekick in many ways, but he's very much the heart of the movie especially in terms of Puss's character arc and how he must learn to live with the life that he still has left, even though he has wasted all eight of his other lives, which is really the theme of this actual movie, about how he still has a life to live and he has to live it and he must live it he must live it in the best way that he could. And in a lot of ways, this kind of reminds me of Pixar's Soul, because it almost has sort of a similar theme to it in terms about how they express the meaning of life and how we should live. In my opinion, I do think that Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is DreamWorks' soul. In my opinion, just due to the theme that was set and established. I do think they do share some similarities in common. Aside from the wolf, there's also other villains like Goldilocks and the Three Bears, and I really do like the story arc that was told with them. I actually thought it was very touching, in a lot of ways. That it pretty much hits me in the feels with the revolution that was resolved with them by the end. Then there's Big Jack Horner, who is very much the comedic of all the villains, and he is really a joy to watch. Especially that line he said to the cricket. I do like the style that DreamWorks is doing in terms of their animations. It's very clear that they looked at Into the Spider-Verse and decided to use that with their movies. They use a lot of that with the bad guys, and it's shown as well in this movie. It kind of makes me wonder, especially with the announcement of a Shrek 5, which, well, I would say, compared to Toy Story 5, I'm a bit more okay with it by comparison, though not really. But anyway, with the announcements of a Shrek 5, it does make me wonder if they're gonna go with that animation style. Like, I'm talking about the Shrek films, of course. Like, it does make me want to know, like, the way it's being animated. Does this mean that the upcoming Shrek movie is also going to have a similar animation style to this? I mean, I wouldn't be surprised that they did, but I am kind of curious, though. The voice acting is really good in this. I've noticed that aside from Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek, I don't know much about the other actors who are providing the voice for these characters, because usually a lot of animated movies always picked certain anime movies, especially ones from DreamWorks, usually picked up big name celebrities to voice in their movies. And again, aside from Antonio Banderas and Salma Hayek, I don't recognize most of the other voice actors. I mean, they're probably popular in their own right, but for me personally, I have not seen that much of them. But I guess it's kind of a good thing, because I rather have talents who they think is good for the part rather than just having big name talents just to sell their movie. Overall, there isn't really much to say. Again, I'm still fresh off from seeing this, but again, I do really love this movie. I would say if I were to rank my favorite movies of 2022, it's probably going to be in my top 5. It's really that good. Highly recommend this. It's easily the best movie of the Shrek franchise since Shrek 2. So that's my review. I hope you enjoy. Take care.